Hello everybody, welcome back to another Oh Hey Jenny vlog. We know that many of you are looking to travel and explore different parts of China in the coming months. So in today's vlog, we are going to share some of our experiences when we traveled and visited Beijing in mid-September this year. Hopefully this will help to answer some of the questions which you may have and guide you along in the planning of your itinerary. Without further ado, let's get Mr. P into frame. First question, do you need a visa to travel in China? As of July 26 this year, all Singaporeans do not need a visa if you are planning to visit China for up to 15 days for purposes such as tourism, visiting your family members, or even business and in transit. You do not need a visa. But if you are non-Singaporean, just do a quick check online and you'll be able to find out whether you qualify for the visa-free travel or not. The second question is, what apps did we use when we traveled to Beijing, China?
In order of usage, we use primarily three apps, which is Alipay, Amaps, or Gaode Map in Chinese, and Trip.com app. For Alipay, it functions as a super app, incorporates all the other functions like your DD Trusin, your customs declarations, checking transactions. It's all inside the super app. For Amap and Gaode it's mainly used for navigation, and the information is very outdated and very accurate. It would be better if you are able to type or search in Mandarin to find the precise locations for the best results. Alternatively, you can also use Maps.me, which allows you to download offline maps, but it's not going to be the most accurate and most precise. Lastly, both Google Maps and Apple Maps have been known to be not very accurate within China itself.
Yeah, I actually tried looking for a certain bus stop.
Bus to Great Wall.
Yeah, the buses to Great Wall, the tourist buses to Great Wall, and Google Maps was not able to show me where the bus stop was, but it was very clearly on the Gaode map, so that's just one thing to take note of.
Lastly, Trip.com app. We use this mainly to e-ticket for trains, as well as to check the occasional hotel prices and locations around us. Alipay or WeChat. Having either one is actually more than sufficient for your trip to Beijing. For us, we actually use Alipay because we felt that as foreigners, when we were trying to set up either apps, Alipay was easier to do the linking for credit card as well as identity verification. For WeChat, we found that it was more geared towards local citizens, and you definitely need to have a local SIM to verify your identity. Even if you have successfully linked your credit cards to Alipay, do also note that it's not possible for you to test pay outside of China. We tried to do this in Singapore, but the transactions did not go through. So our first transaction was actually only done in Beijing at the airport counter express. We were successful in using Alipay for most transactions, such as buying your entrance tickets to your tourist sites, or calling your taxis, or even just paying in general for your vending machines or your food in most restaurants.
Even in convenience stores. Yeah. The next question. What are the common payment modes in China?
So the primary mode of payment in China is through our Alipay app. We linked our U-Trip and some other credit cards to it, but we also brought along about 100 USD worth of spare cash for our 6 days trip, because there are some instances whereby you need to use cash to pay. For example, our bus tickets to various Great Walls. We also use cash to buy our Beijing e-Kartong transport card. There was also an instance at the Laolongtou entrance where the Alipay terminal, and in fact also the WeChat terminal, was down. So thankfully we had cash for those occasions. Which telco provider did we use for our China trip? Data usage in China is pretty heavy. They are very data dependent people.
Everything is via their apps on the phone. So basically you need very good phone battery as well, not just the telco.
We looked at a few options and we eventually decided on using the AirSIM 7-day gigabyte China Mobile at 16 USD. The downside of using AirSIM was that they were very strict on the fair use policy. After 500 megabyte every day,
nothing would load on your phone, on your application. Can't use the internet anymore. It's useless after that. So personally, I wouldn't recommend this data plan.
An alternative option will be Aurelo, which also has a 5 gigabyte for 30 days at 16 USD per pax. Actually didn't try this, but if you tried it and it's good, then do let us know. Lastly, there was also an option for Giga.
Giga is a local telco company in Singapore. You can buy data packages for roaming.
For 1 gigabyte, $3.60 USD or $5 Sing. Going through the customs in China. When we touched down at Beijing International Airport, we needed to have our customs declaration ready. You can do this on your Alipay app. There is this module that says health declaration, but you need to do this 24 hours before you fly. It will give you a QR code that expires within 24 hours, which you will need to show the immigration officer. They will also have this external fingerprint machine. Just scan your passport and get a receipt that verifies that your fingerprint has been successfully captured.
It's okay if you can't scan your fingerprint at the kiosk, as long as you can scan it at the actual counter. I couldn't get my fingerprint scanned. For some reason, I tried different machines and it just didn't work. Security personnel actually just waved me through. to the queue. I just went through the queue and then that's where I had to scan at the counter again, which worked fine.
However, what is more important is the manual arrival card. Everyone needs to fill in a manual arrival card that can only be found at the counters near the immigration lanes. Once it's filled in, clear through your customs where they will take your fingerprint again before registering you and clearing you. Security checks generally in the airport are very, very stringent. Make sure that your cables and your chargers are stored at a place where it's easily accessible, because it's very likely that they will ask you to take out and show them. Things like mosquito repellents,
hand sanitizer,
hand
liquids,
sanitizers
yeah,
will also be checked by the security personnel.
Many airport security checks that we go through, you can just take out your laptops and that's fine. It just scans and go through. In China, the airport, you have to take out everything that is basically a battery pack. Battery banks, your camera battery packs, all these will have to be taken out of your bags, placed in a tray separate from your bag to be scanned through. So it is quite a big operation if you carry a lot of batteries along with you.
Because of all these stringent security checks, do also cater more time when you go through.
The next question is,
how do we travel around China on their public transport? First and foremost, we bought our e-Kartong transport card at the Airport Express counter. It is essentially a stored value card, fundable security deposit of 20 renminbi or around $3 USD.
e-Kartong is like the EasyLink card for Singaporeans.
You can top up any amount that you want. You can use this card to take the Airport Express, or you can use it to take local subways as well as local buses within Beijing itself. Alternatively, you can also use Alipay for all these direct train rides, bus rides, but we didn't want to be solely reliant on just one app, and it just felt better that we have another card in case Alipay went down. Do also know that e-Kartong will not be accepted in other cities. For example, when we travelled to Shanghai Guan and we tried to take the local bus, we couldn't use e-Kartong at all and we had to pay cash. For our railway train tickets to Shanghai Guan, we use Trip.com app. We search for all the train timings there. We pre-purchase the tickets on Trip.com. An e-ticket will be issued to you on the app itself and at various entry points. For example, entering the train station or when we are boarding onto the train platforms, this will be checked alongside your passport and there will be a manual entry point
For tourists.
Yeah, for tourists.
Next question. How do you buy tickets to tourist sites in Beijing and the Great Wall sections?
It was easier to buy tickets for the Great Wall because you can buy it on the day of arrival itself. There is just a ticketing counter at each of the Great Wall sections and you can simply use your Alipay, buy the ticket and go in.
If you haven't watched the 2 videos on the Great Wall sections, you can click on the link either in the cards or in the description box down below and you'll find out a lot more about how to buy tickets there.
However, do note that if you're traveling on a public holiday weekend, you're likely to have to pre-book and probably won't be able to buy it on the day of arrival. We also really wanted to visit Tian An Men Square.
You don't have to get a ticket to get into Tian An Men Square, but you have to reserve a time slot to get into Tian An Men Square. And how you do it is through WeChat, which is an app. Go into the app, you scan the QR code or you click on that QR code and you can reserve the time slot which you know you'll be visiting Tian An Men Square for.
It is a form of crowd control
Because there is a lot of people in Tian An Men Square. So, it hasn't started yet, but everyone's very enthusiastic. All the phones are out, the selfie sticks, the tripods and all. So the lights are on around 6:40.
And around Tian An Men Square, there were a lot of security barriers and checkpoints. When you enter through the main checkpoint, you are required to show this QR code reservation that you have done.
So for tourists, have your identification documents always easily accessible on you because for all these security checks, they will be checking your passports and they also check through your bags to make sure that there are no liquids. So if you have liquid hand sanitizers inside your bag, they will likely request that you take it out and throw it away. There's like checks before and after you enter the MRT is one, and then coming here into the attraction is a few more. Check your bag. They took out everything in my bag and they asked me, is this a camera? Yes, it's a camera.
What else? Lastly, for the Forbidden City. We intended to visit Forbidden City. However, we were not successful in buying a ticket. We thought we could have gotten it on the day of arrival itself. This is not possible. As a foreigner, what you actually need to do is to email this ticketing website, which we will link down in the description below, a few days in advance to check whether there are tickets available for you.
What is one must-try dish in Beijing?
I'll let the food connoisseur answer this question.
Vegetarians, please skip this. Mr. P is not a foodie and we eat to survive when we travel, not eat to enjoy life. But one thing we have to try in Beijing is the Peking duck, which is the Beijing duck. It's like a roast duck cooked perfectly crispy to its crispness, and the meat is so tender and flavorful. Yeah, you just have to try it. Although I must say that you probably want to choose a reputable and good enough restaurant to try it at.
So the restaurant that we went to was Datong. It comes along with a lot of different accompaniments such as cucumbers, wraps. Then you can wrap it up into like a sushi roll kind of thing.
Mr. P wrapping is Peking duck. Let's see how it turns out.
Hungry.
It's duck soup. It's soup boiled with the duck, so it's called duck soup. There's nothing inside but cabbage, I guess. Delicious! You might have to buffer a little bit of budget if you want to eat a good, proper Peking duck in Beijing. How much did it cost roughly?
100 Sing dollars, about 80 USD dollars.
For a small baby duck.
Generally, the other food options in Beijing are fairly common carbs such as your noodles, dumplings. Do know that they give a lot of carbs. We usually just share one main, and that's more than sufficient.
Eat to survive.
Yeah, eat to survive.
Okay, next question. A lot of people ask this. Do you need to speak Chinese fluently if you travel in China?
The answer is yes. For example, in Shanghai Guan, if you cannot speak Mandarin, even just a little bit of it, you may have some form of difficulties getting around.
And I think generally, apart from if you travel in Shanghai, which is a lot more cosmopolitan, many of the service staff that you'll meet, say the ticketing counters, the tourist sites, many of them are, I would say, in their 20s, fresh graduates, but they do not speak English to you. We did see some foreigners who communicating via body language or them just pointing. It was a bit tough, I think, if you don't understand Mandarin and you don't speak Mandarin.
Teach you a Mandarin phrase called 鸡同鸭讲, which simply means a chicken talk and a duck try to understand.
Another option, if you really want to travel around China, is of course to get a private guide. A private guide will definitely be there to translate for you, get all the tickets for you, make sure everything is organized very easily and smoothly for you, but that also comes at a cost. So if you're okay with the cost, go ahead and hire a private guide to be that middleman.
So aren't you grateful that Mr. P speaks decent Mandarin?
Hey, my Mandarin is not bad also.
Yeah.
The last question.
Some accommodation things to note when you're in China. We stayed at some internationally recognized hotels such as Howard Johnson with the IHG hotels, and there is absolutely no issues. But do take note that in China there are local hotels whereby they only accept local citizens, and even if as a foreigner you have pre-booked that particular hotel such as booking.com or even agoda.com, they may not know the actual situation on ground. When we traveled over to Shanghai Guan, when we reached that hotel, they informed us that because we are not local citizens, they were unable to accept us. We were actually turned away and they had to redirect us to another more expensive hotel.
We had to do all that on the spot in the hotel that rejected us.
Alternatively, you can also check for accommodation via trip.com, and it would be best if you'll be able to type or search in Mandarin. That will be the most accurate way you can find your hotels in China. So what's the total cost of our 6 days Beijing trip? For insurance, we each paid about 27 USD. For our SQ flight, we paid close to about 370 USD in total. But do take note that we redeemed our KrisFlyer miles for this, so we got it at a bit of a cheaper rate. For our accommodation, we spent about 200 USD per person. For general entrance tickets as well as trains, we spent about 71 USD in total. And for general expenses, we spent about $73. So in total, we spent about 750 USD per person for a 6 days trip. It is not exactly the cheapest trip, but we decided we just wanted to spend a bit more, have a better accommodation, especially after we climbed so many different sections of the Great Wall.
We've come to the end of today's video. If you have any other experiences or thoughts on traveling around in China, if you have any more questions for Mr. P, who is usually the main planner for the trip, then you can share them with us in the comment section down below, and he'll reply to you as Mr. P.
We hope that our tips and our sharing is useful to you.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, remember to draw us a like, share, and subscribe. There is also a new super thanks button, by the way.
So recently Jelly also activated the super thanks button. If you'd like to fund her new laptop or a new phone so she can take better videos and photos, do also click on the super thanks button.
Thank you. I've been using my laptop for 6 years now, and it's really very slow and very tedious to edit the videos. Yeah, if you would like to help fund and sponsor, super love. Okay, that's all today.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. 4个字，
4个字。
这餐我出。 Sorry,
Okay.
You like the fun laptop?
I thought, oh, you don't want to say that.
Oh, I
It's so
said.
funny if I say. Do remember to like.
Share and subscribe.
We've come to the end of today's video. If you like what you see, please leave us a like, share, and subscribe. Remember to drop us a like, share, and subscribe.
Different ways of pointing.
Okay, we are leaving.